Right now on Morning News Now, wildfire wasteland. The search for survivors on the Hawaiian island of Maui grows more desperate as the number of deaths climbs higher. The inferno is now the worst natural disaster in the state's history and the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century. Aid workers and volunteers are working around the clock to help those impacted by the catastrophe, while witnesses are expressing their horror at the devastation.
Their friends are dead, the dogs and animals are dead, everybody's dead. There's dead people in the water.
We've got the latest on the ground, plus we'll speak with one survivor who tragically lost her home. Also this morning, looming legal troubles. Former President Donald Trump is facing the prospect of a fourth indictment, this time over an investigation into alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia. We'll take a look at the case being brought by the state's district attorney. Smash and grab. A group of up to 50 people break into a Nordstrom store and steal thousands of dollars worth of goods, according to an LAPD spokesman. How the mob got away with it and what else police are saying about the shocking incident. Plus, striking a different chord, how one organization is working to encourage more artists from Black and Latin backgrounds to leave their mark on the world of classical music. Thanks so much for being here with us on a Monday, and it's great to have you with us, Valerie.
Thank you. Good to be here. I'm Valerie Castro in for Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin this morning with those deadly wildfires in Maui.
Officials say the death toll in the Lahaina fire has climbed to at least 96, making it the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. What was once a lush green paradise is now reduced to charred debris. Hawaii's governor says the damage is estimated at close to $6 billion in Lahaina. More than 2,000 structures were destroyed or damaged. And this morning, families are desperately searching for loved ones.
It looks like a war zone. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. The phones are ringing in the body bags. People still looking for their family. It ripped you here so fast.
This as scrutiny continues to mount over whether people were given enough warning about the wildfires. Reports indicate Hawaii's emergency warning sirens were never activated, and an investigation into that is still ongoing. We're bringing you updates throughout the morning on the wildfires, but we begin with NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin at the War Memorial Stadium shelter in Wailuku. Dana, good morning. Give us a sense of what things are looking like there. Does the shelter have enough resources to help all of the evacuees who are in need?
Valerie, good morning. It's about 1 a.m. local time. You can see behind me, they've got the entrance to the War Memorial Complex closed off right now. A lot of people asleep at this hour. We were here over the weekend. We saw pallets of donations, so much stuff. They've really got a lot of good items here. The latest on what they are still in need of: meals, water, toiletries, underwear. Those are just some of the items. And they're really asking people to give monetary donations to reputable organizations, because a lot of times people just flood the area with things, and some of them are not up to code for FEMA or the Red Cross, so they sometimes have to put those things aside. But the best way they're asking people to help is to send money through those reputable organizations, unless they're like toiletries, underwear, water, meals. We're seeing a lot of businesses actually step up to provide those. Valerie?
So much help will be needed there. The Hawaii Governor Josh Green said the state is focusing on the need for housing for survivors, evacuees, and first responders. Dana, what sort of a plan do they have in place?
Right now, they've set aside about 500 hotel rooms that they're going to start filling today. We know there are about 1,100 evacuees that are spread across several shelters here in Maui. They're asking people who have vacation plans here in Maui, if they can, to not come to the island, because those hotel rooms could actually go to people who need them most. We do have some people that are still here vacationing. So right now they're working on a long-term plan to house people. They've even asked, the governor has even asked people across the state to open up their homes, Valerie, to take in some of these evacuees.
Officials have said some businesses that have reopened could provide much-needed resources to those in need. What do we know about that?
Yeah, so in Lahaina, 3 businesses have actually reopened. There's a market open 24/7, allowing residents to get the necessities and food that they need. Also, 2 gas stations have reopened, thanks in part to the electricity being restored to about 60% of customers that were impacted by this. You've also got a lot of local businesses across the island that are stepping up, whether they're providing food, transportation. There's also a free shuttle that's helping to take Lahaina residents to and from markets in central Maui. So there's just so many people that that are stepping up to do what they can, and it's a really beautiful thing to see.
Just amazing that any businesses have been able to reopen. Dana, FEMA is on the ground this morning helping with the response and recovery process. How can people begin to register for that federal assistance?
Yeah, we've got a graphic for those who need this information. You can go to disasterassistance.gov. There's also a phone number that you can call, 1-800-621-3362. You can also visit a FEMA staff member in person if you're here on the island. They are setting up assistance programs to get vouchers for housing. As far as the long-term plan, that's something that they are still working out. And obviously a lot of residents here are vowing to rebuild, but that is going to take years, if not decades. Right now, crews are really focused on trying to recover those missing bodies. Most of them burned. They're asking people, relatives who are missing family members, to give their DNA so they can try to identify those bodies. As of Saturday, which was the last update, they've only searched about 3% of the disaster zone. So it's going to be a long process here. Valerie.
Okay, Dana, we appreciate your reporting there on the ground. Thank you so much.
And now joining us again this morning is May Lee from Hawaii, who survived the wildfires. May, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you first joined us here on the show on Friday, just a couple days ago. You told us about how quickly you had to escape these flames in Lahaina. Tell us now how you're doing and what's changed, what the last few days have been like since we last spoke.
Hi, good morning. I wouldn't say much has changed. The good thing that's changed is that more people have been found, that we weren't sure if they were alive or not. So that's been really the victories that we have right now. It's slowly finding our loved ones. Other than that, it's a nightmare that won't end. It's just every time you wake up or every time you think about it, you see a picture, it's like the worst heartbreak you can possibly imagine.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about finding loved ones. What were those efforts like and what ultimately happened? When did you find out?
It's basically just been that the cell service has been so poor and so spotty on the west side. It still is. It's getting better, but it's still not good. Lahaina is not just, the west side is not just Lahaina. The west side is 10 miles past Lahaina too, where people fled to, and they haven't been able to really reach out. And also with limited access to the west side, people can't leave. So it's been, as people spotty have service, they will check in. We have Facebook pages, and there's a list of names that people that couldn't find each other reported on. And then slowly but surely you check in the list, and the names are now not in green. They're not in red. They're in green now. So it says found. That's kind of the only way to find out, unless people have cell service that can call you.
Oh, so difficult on top of all this to not just be able to be in touch with each other. Tell us what the biggest challenges your community is facing are now that we're nearly a week since the start of these fires. What is it that people that you know, that your community needs?
There's a lot of talk of FEMA and Red Cross. They're not doing anything. The only people that are helping the community right now is the community. It's just talk. It's just talk. The people that are over there, they're not getting help from FEMA. They're getting help from each other. People from Oahu are driving boats to the west side delivering goods. It's outrageous. We're not getting help from the government at all. It's the community helping the community. That's how Maui is. That's how Hawaii is. And we just need people to know that people are sending goods to us that we're not getting because FEMA is taking it, saying it's not FEMA approved, when it's things that we desperately need.
Like what types of things?
I'm not over there myself because I don't want to be a part of that traffic jam. So I'm just hearing from friends of mine that are in touch with me. They're saying that they're not seeing any official, there's nobody taking charge. It's just, they were saying a couple of days ago that it felt like it was the Lord of the Flies over there. It was just, there's nobody in control. Nobody is directing anybody. It's just a bunch of people just grieving, and they have nobody to follow, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's heartbreaking to hear, but it does make sense. May, thank you very much for joining us again. I mean, it is incredible to hear about the people who live there, helping the other people who live there, and that resiliency. We appreciate you talking to us again, and we will continue to check in. We're thinking about you and your family.
Thank you. Just keep us in our hearts and keep Lahaina in our hearts. It's a very strong community, and we just we want to rebuild, and we want to get that going as soon as possible. So whatever we can get help with, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. May, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Turning to the weather now, storms are expected across the country today, and some are even expected to impact Hawaii by this weekend. Let's get a closer look at what to expect with your Morning News Now weather forecast.
Yeah, tell us how much of a problem that's going to be. Andrew Lassman, hi, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's more of an indirect impact that we're talking about, and it's down the line. We could see a potential of some stronger winds here in the short term over the next maybe day or so. But by the time we get into late in the weekend and into early next week, we could see some indirect impacts from a system, a tropical system that we're tracking. So let's start with those trade winds. We've got a high to the north. We've got Tropical Storm Greg that is newly formed, but sits to the south and east of the island chain. Now, this is a little bit of a different setup than what we dealt with Dora when we saw those really strong winds as Dora sat to the south and the high pressure was to the north. This high is farther away than it was last week when we were talking about that setup. And Tropical Storm Greg is not nearly as strong as Hurricane Dora was at that time. So those are some important distinctions that we have to make. Either way, though, we will see those enhanced trade winds. So we're talking about breezy to gusty conditions across the island chain here as we go through the next couple of days. Something to note with fires still burning, of course, across Hawaii. Now, here's the rest of what we're watching. Hurricane Fernanda, this continues to move to the west, and that'll be something that we watch through the next couple of days, continuing to rapidly intensify. We've got Tropical Storm Greg that I just mentioned. That'll continue to move to the west as well. And we've got another tropical disturbance that right now has a 40% chance of developing. We could likely see this become a tropical depression in the next couple of days. So we'll be closely watching that. And when it comes to Fernanda, Category 3 right now, those winds have come up 125 miles per hour, but you see the westward movement at 8 miles per hour. The track keeps it south of Hawaii, but again, those indirect impacts could happen as we get into the late part of the weekend and into early next week. You'll notice that it does weaken. We're not talking about a Category 3 hurricane here as we go through, Saturday, Sunday, and into early next week as it gets closer to the islands, but we will be continuing to keep a close eye on that, guys.
All right. Angie, thank you so much. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis is preparing to present her election interference case against Donald Trump to the grand jury. Georgia's former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan and independent journalist George Chidi both confirmed they received notice to appear in court tomorrow after being subpoenaed to testify. Former Georgia State Senator Jen Jordan and former lawmaker Bee Nguyen have also been called to testify in the case.
It marks a major move forward for the 2-year investigation into the alleged attempts from Trump and his allies to reverse the 2020 election results in Georgia. And it comes just weeks after the former president was indicted on federal election interference charges by special counsel Jack Smith. He pleaded not guilty in that case. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander, who is at the Fulton County Courthouse. And joining us right here on set is NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. Good morning to the both of you. Blaine, we'll begin with you there on the ground. What are we learning about these witnesses that were called to testify in these grand jury proceedings? What does it tell us about where District Attorney Willis is in her investigation at this point?
Well, guys, it tells us that she's poised to present to a grand jury this week. You know, when we look at the witnesses, it certainly gives us insight into how she's going to be presenting this case to the grand jury. We know that she has a much more widened scope of investigation beyond just that infamous phone call from Donald Trump to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. So when you look at the two people that we know are going to testify, it shows you just how she's going to be putting this case before a grand jury. Let's start with George Chidi. He is an independent journalist. He's the person who kind of stumbled, in his words, upon this meeting of the alternate electors at the state capitol back in 2020. He's the one who was also ushered quickly out of the room. So likely he's going to be asked to testify about that. So we know, of course, that she's looking into that slate of fake electors. And then, of course, when you look at the former Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Duncan, a Republican, he can speak to the pressure that former President Trump and his allies put on state officials to overturn the election results here in Georgia. Here's a little bit of what he said over the weekend, looking ahead to his testimony tomorrow. Take a look.
Yeah, I did just receive notification to appear on Tuesday morning at the Fulton County Grand Jury, and I certainly will be there to do my part in recounting the facts. I have no expectations as to the questions, and I'll certainly answer whatever questions put in front of me, and certainly don't want to go any deeper than that to jeopardize or compromise the investigation. But look, for me, this is a story that is important for Republicans to hear, Americans to hear. Let's hear the whole truth and nothing but the truth about Donald Trump's actions and the surrounding cast of characters around him.
And so you heard from him. Now, those are the two that we know are going to testify tomorrow. There are two others who have received their subpoena that NBC News has also been in touch with. We've been in touch with them, Jen Jordan and Bee Nguyen. Both of them are former state lawmakers. They're important to this investigation because they were inside a panel where they heard presentations from Rudy Giuliani, where he espoused a number of since debunked claims about Georgia's election and election fraud here in the state. Of course, we know that that's something that Fani Willis has included in the scope of her investigation as well, guys.
Danny, let's turn to you. Does a summons to testify mean that a witness has to appear before a grand jury, and does it make a difference that they were also subpoenaed?
Under Georgia law, it appears that the summons is basically similar to a subpoena. A grand jury subpoena commands someone to either bring documents or themselves and come testify. And in this case, while normally in legal parlance, a summons is something more like when you're sued in court, you have to be served with a summons, or jury members are summoned to the courthouse. Under Georgia law, they appear to be about the functional equivalent.
Danny, we don't know the charges that Willis is seeking here specifically yet, though it has been strongly sort of suggested anti-racketeering statutes could come up. Explain that to us and what the potential implication of that is.
Racketeering, super complicated statute. Georgia law has a very broad racketeering statute, arguably broader than the federal counterpart. And that's why prosecutors like using it. Basically, what it involves is an enterprise, and that enterprise could arguably be the Trump campaign. It could also be the presidency itself. And then you also have a pattern of racketeering activity. And really all that is two or more of what are called predicate crimes or acts. And those predicate crimes are listed in the statute. And the reason prosecutors love RICO statutes is that they have longer statutes of limitations, that you can fold in all these different acts. You don't even necessarily need to prove the underlying crimes, or you could charge those underlying crimes as well. What it does is it really just broadens a prosecutor's power to bring charges. But don't be surprised if there isn't any racketeering charges in an indictment at all. The prosecutor could charge the underlying crimes that make up the predicates, because maybe the prosecutor sees that as easier. But if this is a large indictment indicting a number of people, I would expect there's a good chance you'd see a RICO charge.
Blaine, security for District Attorney Willis has been increased over the last few weeks, but a social media post from Trump over the weekend is bringing more attention to Willis. Is her security expected to heighten again as a result?
You know, I think it's important to point out that these attacks are nothing new, right? She certainly had heightened security for quite some time, more than a year ago. She told me that she was upping her security because of all of the threats. And certainly we've heard from the former president calling her out, slamming the investigation, even from the campaign trail, different speeches. So these attacks are nothing new. What is new is that they've increased in recent days, and they've become more pointed. He's also, his campaign has launched an ad that has been airing on Atlanta television, also smearing the DA and her investigation. She responded to that ad in an email to her employees, basically saying, listen, don't get distracted. Don't, really read into this, even telling them don't go out and defend me on social media or talk about this. We have a job to do. We need to stay focused. So to your question about security, her security is high. It's been high, and I'd imagine it's going to continue to remain high for the coming days and weeks, guys.
Okay, Blaine Alexander, thank you, and Danny Savalos, thank you so much.
Well, Republican candidate Mike Pence is speaking out about another ongoing special counsel investigation, this one involving Hunter Biden. On Friday, Attorney General Merrick Garland gave special counsel status to the attorney investigating the president's son. Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss has been investigating Hunter Biden since 2019, but it's not yet clear exactly what allegations are on the table. On Sunday's Meet the Press, Pence said he welcomed that move. Here's moderator Chuck Todd with more on their conversation.
Well, hello there, Savannah and Valerie. This week on Meet the Press, the former vice president and 2024 presidential candidate Mike Pence joined me to discuss the Attorney General's appointment of a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden and how it could all impact the 2024 presidential race. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The pattern of the Justice Department during our 4 years in the White House and since has undermined public confidence in equal treatment under the law. And while I welcome the appointment of a special counsel, which is, of course, appropriate and is a minimum where the Attorney General has a potential conflict of interest, I'm also comforted by the fact that Congress is going to continue to do its work. I am hopeful that Special Counsel Weiss will do his job without fear or favor, but I have confidence that Jim Jordan, Congressman Comer, and others will continue to do their job for the American people.
Look, I couldn't help but notice you had said that the Justice Department, even in the 4 years that you guys oversaw it, you thought also didn't seem to conduct investigations fairly. Why do you think this is? How is it that this is a bipartisan problem that you're identifying?
Well, look, I mean, it started in 2016 when James Comer gave Hillary Clinton a pass, right, that no other American would have gotten. If I have the privilege of being president of the United States, we're not just going to have a new attorney general and a new FBI director, Chuck, but I'm going to clean house on the whole top floor of the Justice Department and demand that we have men and women who are respected on both sides of the aisle as people of integrity who will apply the rule of law in this country equally to every American.
Well, you can see my full interview, more and more of it, at meetthepress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every single weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Chuck, thank you so much.
Candidates for the GOP presidential nomination have been out in force, stumping in one of the most heavily sought-after states at the Iowa State Fair. According to a recent poll conducted by Siena College and the New York Times, it's former President Trump who has the lead in Iowa, with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis more than 20 points behind, and no other GOP candidate even hitting double digits. NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray joins us now with more on the State Fair. Good morning, Mark. So let's start with former President Trump. How was he received this weekend, and what campaigning strategies did we see from him?
Yeah, Valerie, the former president ended up swooping in, taking the Iowa State Fair by force, first spotted in his private plane, then doling out his MAGA gear and hats to supporters, needling his chief rival, Ron DeSantis, on agriculture policy, and then maybe most importantly of all, bringing an entourage of Florida congressmen and women who've endorsed Trump over Ron DeSantis, all kind of trying to poke at vulnerabilities at the Florida governor.
Speaking of Ron DeSantis, he's polling in second place. He did not have as warm of a welcome in Iowa, did he?
Yeah, so he's replaced his campaign manager, and he's had some difficulty in the polls. And he ended up flipping pork chops, having a one-on-one with Iowa's Governor Kim Reynolds. But he ended up getting disrupted by some liberal protesters. Take a listen.
Some people put their agenda ahead of honoring veterans, and they think they're not even from this county, and they come and they want to scream over other people. That's not how we work. We want to lift people up. You know, we want to aim higher. We want a country that can be united again, and people like that are holding this country back.
That's not all that uncommon at the Iowa State Fair, where people get to attend and sometimes can needle some of the presidential candidates. So that kind of flack that DeSantis was receiving wasn't all too uncommon.
And Mark, Nikki Haley spoke to NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale while she was at the fair. She had some choice words about President Trump. Let's take a listen.
I know Trump very well. Yeah. I know exactly what gets under his skin. I know exactly what he does. So, look, I think he was the right president at the right time. I don't think he's the right president going forward. And I think when you put all of the options on that stage, people are going to be able to tell which direction they want to go. They don't want to go backwards.
All right, some needling all around there. Mark, what do you make of that?
Well, she's been calling for a new generation of leadership. That has been the primary argument that she's made running against Donald Trump. And you heard her talk about that debate stage. And one of the biggest questions about the August 23rd Republican presidential debate will be whether or not Donald Trump ends up attending, being either someone that the candidates end up attacking in person or in absentia.
Okay, thanks for unpacking all of that for us, Mark Murray. Thank you.
Well, at least 5 people were killed after a house exploded on a suburban street in Pennsylvania. The blast destroyed 3 homes and damaged about a dozen others. Officials say they expect the investigation into the cause of this to last for months. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa has the details.
The force of the incident so powerful, neighbors described it as a bomb going off. Well, when they stepped outside, they say it looked like one did too. So you can see the explosion literally leveled several homes here. You can just make out the shells of those cars there in an explosion that claimed the lives of 5 people. A western Pennsylvania neighborhood in pieces after a deadly house explosion rattled the area.
The terrifying incident in Plum captured on a doorbell camera. You can see debris shooting across the whole block and the fireball that demolished several homes on Saturday morning.
We have a whole building completely gone. We have copious amounts of debris.
Greg Renko lives several doors down.
As a police officer, you hear an explosion and you run towards it.
Yes.
Renko helped carry his neighbor from the raging fire, who now, he says, is in critical condition.
We're fighting through the debris, the rubble, the fire, trying to get our neighbor out of there, but not a second thought was given.
Authorities concluded their recovery mission at the decimated lot. 5 people were killed, including 1 child, and nearly 60 firefighters treated by EMS. As the cause of the explosion remains a mystery, gas has been shut off in this neighborhood as a precaution.
At this point, we can share that our system was operating as designed. It's still too soon to estimate when service will be restored.
Fire officials say the explosion leveled 3 homes and damaged at least another dozen in the Pittsburgh suburb. Such a force blowing out windows 4 homes away.
I was sitting right here. My wife.
Families like the Kolonkowskis now left to pick up the pieces and face the utter devastation that claimed the lives of 5 of their friends.
I was with 3 of them the night before. And then not even 12 hours later, we find ourselves in this situation.
People here still evaluating the extent of the damage, not just on this unrecognizable block, but debris was literally thrown across the neighborhood. Authorities say it could take months, if not years, to determine the cause of the deadly explosion. Back to you.
All right, Emily Aketa, thanks so much.
Coming up, it was another weekend of violence in Ukraine.
That's right. We'll bring you the latest on the war as shelling intensifies in the south of the country. Plus, a new warning from the State Department over the purchase of prescription drugs in Mexico. What you need to know next. Welcome back. We have the latest now on the war in Ukraine. Over the weekend, at least 7 people, including a baby, were killed by Russian shelling in Ukraine's southern region. NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Letterman joins us now with the latest on this. Hey, Josh, so what can you tell us about this deadly shelling by Russian forces this weekend?
Well, today has been declared a day of mourning after those weekend strikes in Kherson that killed, among others, that 3-week-old baby, part of a family of 4, at least 20 injured. And Kherson is particularly important because this is a major city that was actually liberated by the Ukrainians from Russian control in November of last year. But there has not been peace there since its liberation. The Russians are just on the other side of the river from which they have been just bombarding this city for months. There's also been new strikes in the last hours in Odessa, that key port city, setting fire to, among others, a supermarket and a dormitory.
Josh, also, I want to ask you about something else that happened yesterday. So last month, Russia had pulled out of a deal that allowed civilian cargo ships to travel through the Black Sea and use that area. But then yesterday, a Russian ship fired warning shots at a cargo ship that was reportedly heading toward Ukraine. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, that's right. Russian forces say that they used automatic weapons to fire warning shots at that cargo ship. They eventually inspected it and allowed it to go to Ukraine. But this is creating a real chilling effect for this humanitarian corridor that Ukraine wants to create in lieu of that grain deal that has now collapsed to try to get some of the ships that have been stuck in Ukraine out. It's unclear whether anyone's going to be willing to actually sail through the Black Sea if they know they could come under fire like this from Russian forces.
Absolutely, a total concern. Josh, also just tell us, in light of all this, what we were just talking about with Russian forces, what is the latest on Ukraine's counteroffensive? How is it going? I know that they were using drones in the region. Has that been effective?
Well, the drones have been very effective at unnerving the Russians because they have been really hitting beyond the front lines, deep into Russian-held territory, in some cases in Russia itself. But they haven't been as effective in actually helping this counteroffensive to liberate territory from the Russians. In fact, the deputy defense minister that said that in Bakhmut, which of course has been the location of intense fighting for months, in the last week or so, they've only been able to take back a little over a square mile of territory from the Russians. Other Western analyses have found that on the 2 major fronts where Ukraine is fighting, they've been able to get somewhere between 10 and 12 square miles back from Russia. So this is very slow going still for the Ukrainian military.
All right, Josh Letterman, thank you so much and stay safe.
Turning now to a warning from the State Department about buying prescription drugs abroad. Many Americans have gone to Mexico in an effort to find cheaper prescription drugs, but now officials say the pills sold there can be counterfeit or worse, laced with other deadly drugs. NBC News correspondent Erin Gilchrist has the details.
It's unbearable. Every day is unbearable because he's gone.
Celia and Terry Harms hold tight to memories of their son, Jonathan. He was only 29 when he died back in 2017. The coroner's report says from a fentanyl overdose.
This was not Johnny scoring on the corner. This was a migraine sufferer that was trying to get pain relief and went to a pharmacy.
Johnny Harms suffered from migraines his entire life, and during an episode on his vacation in Cancun, he went in search of medication at a Mexican pharmacy. He took a pill labeled migraine tablets and hopped a flight back home to California with his girlfriend. Within hours, Johnny Harms was dead.
As soon as that poison was sold to him, it was just a matter of time before he would die.
About 200,000 Americans travel to Mexico each year to buy prescription drugs, often because they're cheaper. The State Department is warning them, buy with caution, writing, counterfeit medication is common and may prove to be ineffective, the wrong strength, or contain dangerous ingredients. Those dangerous ingredients are exactly what researchers at UCLA found when they tried to buy prescription drugs in northern Mexico.
They look like an oxycodone, but they contain fentanyl or heroin. Or they look like an Adderall, but they contain methamphetamine.
And for a report in the LA Times, reporters bought and tested 55 pills from 29 pharmacies all across Mexico. They say a little more than half were counterfeit and many contained fentanyl.
I'm very concerned that it seems to be something happening all over the country.
Most of those tests were on purchases of individual pills, which could be used as party drugs. But Maryland Congressman David Trone, who asked for that State Department warning,
well, I'm extremely concerned.
Thinks all prescription drugs there are a danger.
What's your warning to regular folks who are going on vacation in Mexico thinking that, if they need to grab a Tylenol, they can?
They're running a huge risk, so they just got to stop buying drugs, any drugs in the Mexican pharmacies.
Celia and Terry Harms say more needs to be done to get the word out, so no one else has to go through the pain they've endured.
He was just, a wonderful son.
From our perspective, he was murdered. If we can save other individuals by getting the word out, by educating people, that will give more meaning to Jonathan's life.
Erin Gilchrist, NBC News.
Our thanks to Erin for that reporting.
Heartbreaking. All right, let's stay on international headlines. We start with the latest from the recent military takeover in Niger.
Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with that and more. Good morning, Raf.
Valerie, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, the coup leaders who seized power in Niger last month now say they want to put the country's democratically elected president on trial for treason. President Mohamed Bazoum has been imprisoned since he was toppled in July. President Biden and other world leaders have called for his release, and neighboring West African states have threatened to use force to restore democracy. In Argentina, voters delivered a stinging rebuke to the country's two main political factions in the first round of elections. A far-right libertarian economist came first in the presidential poll with about 30% of the vote. That put him ahead of both the center-left government and the main conservative opposition bloc. The final vote is scheduled for October. And finally, hundreds of artifacts are being returned from the U.S. and sent back to their rightful homes in Italy. The art unit of Italy's National Police said the items were stolen and sold to U.S. museums and collectors in the 1990s. Among the items are sculptures, paintings, and pots, some of them 3,000 years old. There are also mosaics worth potentially millions of dollars. So, guys, a real treasure trove recovered there.
Wow, absolutely. Some of that stuff is just so beautiful. Raf, thank you so much. Well, coming up, a smash and grab at a Nordstrom.
How police say a group of up to 50 people stole thousands of dollars from the store in L.A., the latest in a series of nationwide robberies that has authorities worried. That's next. We're back now with an update on what authorities are calling an organized crime spree sweeping the nation. Groups of burglars are targeting major retailers in an organized attempt to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, more often than not in just a few minutes. A Los Angeles Nordstrom was just the latest target. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has more.
An LA area Nordstrom's blitzed Saturday by smash and grab burglars. Just the latest to shock a city.
People were very scared. They were running as if there was like an active shooter.
Police say the mob used bear spray to disarm security, with 30 to 50 people ransacking the handbag section of the store, stealing around $100,000 of high-end inventory. LAPD promises to find those involved.
Is there any doubt in your mind this is organized crime, and has it become a lot more sophisticated?
But there's no doubt that this is organized. Some of it involves gang members. Some of it involves people that are what you would identify as professional retail thieves.
Though the LA area alone has been battered by at least 4 such robberies in the last couple of weeks, it's been a national problem for years. From sledgehammers in New York City to San Francisco's Union Square mayhem in 2021 to this sudden clothing grab in Atlanta. Heath Herzog wrote a book on the crime trend and points to changes in local laws.
Is there something that all of these cities have in common?
It's the threshold for these cities to prosecute for grand larceny. The threshold has increased for all of these cities, and then we have bail reform.
She says some thieves no longer think twice about stealing, with stores in 2022 losing tens of billions to theft. As for LAPD's investigation, the criminals should expect harsh consequences.
For those individuals that were involved in this, where bear spray was discharged against the security staff, you're going to find an elevated prosecution. Clearly, they were doing it in concert.
Sam Brock, NBC News.
Well, also in Southern California, police are turning to drones to help fight crime on the streets. But some are concerned it may be an invasion of privacy. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delaney takes a closer look at the new drone program and the criticism it's receiving.
An eye in the sky, helping police de-escalate gun confrontations, catch drug dealers, and put away violent criminals.
About 88 to 90% of the time, the drone is first on scene before any of our officers in the field arrive. And we'll be responding east to Lincoln Boulevard.
In beachside Santa Monica, police officer Peter Lashley can survey a city block for a reported suspicious person from a command center a mile away, or zoom in to read a license plate. Last year, the drone was the only witness to a brutal assault, and its footage was used to convict one of the attackers.
How have these drones changed the way your department does its work?
It's a fundamental change. It allows an experienced police officer to see what's going on in real time and communicate those facts to the officers responding.
They say the drone's eye view can prevent officers from overreacting. Santa Monica police got a call last year about a man with a gun. At first, drone footage appeared to confirm it, but then
as I'm watching him, I can clearly see, and you'll see he exhaled, there's a little bit of smoke here in a second, that I'm 99% sure that that's some type of lighter.
Given that, police didn't need to approach aggressively. Drones can also help police on dangerous operations. We got a demonstration of the lemur, which SWAT teams can use to break windows and fly inside buildings, even talking to a barricaded subject.
This is the police department. We're here to resolve the situation peacefully.
We don't have a problem with drones being used for particular emergencies, but what we don't want to see are drones used for routine mass surveillance where they're watching everybody all the time. And we're afraid that this is going to lead to that.
Seattle has banned the use of police drones, and other communities have demanded strict rules.
There are some people that are just uncomfortable with the idea of the police flying anything that could conduct overhead surveillance.
We respond to calls for service. We don't utilize it as a random surveillance tool. I think as it rolls out on a national level, that's going to be incumbent upon those agencies that deploy it to be responsible with it.
And important for communities to keep watch on those who protect and serve. Ken Delaney, NBC News, Santa Monica.
Well, coming up, as many of us swelter in the summer heat, the extreme temperatures are also impacting our wallets.
We'll take a closer look at how rising electric bills are weighing on low-income Americans hoping to stay cool. That's coming up next.
Welcome back. All summer long, we've been reporting on the record-breaking temperatures sweeping the country.
And with people cranking up their AC to help combat the rise in those temperatures, electric bills have skyrocketed, causing many low-income Americans to struggle to pay. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra joins us now from Miami with more on the issue. Marissa, good morning. So tell us, how have the heat waves impacted the cost of living for people across the country? What are they doing to manage these additional costs?
Yeah, I mean, it's made a huge difference when it comes to electric bills, right? When we talk about staying cool, it's not just a matter of comfort. It really is a matter of safety. So, earlier this year, the National Energy Assistance Directors Association had made an estimate that consumers' utility bills would be 12% higher this summer than the last summer. And so far, that seems to be tracking. When we spoke to power companies in Florida, in Texas, these are the southern states, among the southern states that are seeing records being broken across the South when it comes to the heat this summer. They said that, yes, they're used to consumer demand going up in the summer when it comes to air conditioning demands. But the difference is it started much earlier. The season started earlier for them and for all of us. So they said that they have seen that demand go up. They're struggling to meet the demand as people at home, the consumers, are struggling to pay the bills of that demand. So we had a chance to speak to a mother-daughter duo here in Florida about just how scary it's been for them. One mother saying that she's afraid of losing her home because she can't keep up with the bills. Take a listen for yourself.
This month, $126 more than last month, just in 1 month.
And were you doing anything different?
No, running my AC, my air conditioner a little more. I keep it at 71 now because it just can't keep up with the heat in the house.
If it wasn't so hot outside, her electric bill would not be what it is. She would probably be saving about $200 a month.
Now, Savannah, a couple of factors here and things I want to point out. These are lifelong Floridians. These are not people who are not used to the heat in the South. But as we have all been saying, this summer it's just different. We're seeing these really high temperatures, especially earlier in the season than we're used to, especially considering that with climate change as it is, this is something that we're not expecting to necessarily slow down. And when it comes to this mother, she had been retired. She came out of retirement in order to be able to pay off her bills. She has a secondary condition. So there are specific factors here. But this is something that a lot of the population in Florida is facing with these rising temperatures and with the electric demands rising as well with them, Savannah.
And Marissa, is there anything people can do to try to save a bit to curb some of these costs?
Absolutely. There's a couple of things that researchers and experts suggest. I'll list a number of them for you. One of them, check your air filter to make sure that your system is working efficiently as it should. Close those blinds, close those drapes. It kind of helps keep as much sunlight as possible out because that's going to help bake your apartment or your house. Use the cold water setting when doing laundry, and try as much as you can. Of course, we know this is a simple no-brainer, but to keep that thermostat at a comfortable place for you, that's going to vary person to person. That might be a little bit higher or lower depending on your medical status. And then the last thing here is reduce the temperature on your water heater from 140 degrees to 120 degrees. Apparently, all of these little small tweaks can make a big difference in the long run when it comes to how much you're paying for your electric bill, Savannah.
Yeah, and some of those don't even seem like something you'd necessarily notice, like that 140 to 120, keeping the blinds shut and keep it cool. Marissa, great tips. Thank you so much.
Financial headlines now. We start with a major leadership shakeup at CBS News.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Valerie. Yeah, so the chief at CBS News is reportedly stepping down. Niraj Khemlani told employees in a memo Sunday that he is leaving his position as president and co-head of CBS News and stations for a new position at the network. Now, that's according to Variety. Khemlani's new role will apparently focus on creating content like documentaries, scripted series, and books. Federal student loan payments are coming back after a pandemic hiatus, and borrowers say they're facing a tough choice: make their payments or be able to afford basic necessities. A new survey from Credit Karma found 56% of borrowers say they will be forced between resuming payments or covering things like rent and groceries. Interest accruals resume on September 1st, and payments will be due again in October. Barbie ran away with the box office for a fourth straight week, bringing in another $33.7 million. That's according to studio estimates. Now, that means that Greta Gerwig's film surpassed $500 million in North America overall, just 1 week after it set a record for female directors by crossing the $1 billion mark globally. How about that?
All right, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it either.
I was going to say Silvana hasn't either. Ladies, we'll go together.
Silvana, I'll go with you.
I know
All right,
it's
let's
still
go
hard to
together.
find a
Let's do
ticket,
it.
though, actually, so it's understandable. Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it. Coming up, playing a different tune.
Yeah, we'll take a look at how one organization is encouraging musicians from minority ethnic groups to get involved in classical music. That is next.
Welcome back. There were emotional scenes over the weekend when NFL star Demar Hamlin made his return to the football field. The Buffalo Bills safety stepped out in front of 70,000 fans on Saturday, helping his team beat the Indianapolis Colts in a preseason game. It was Hamlin's first time playing since he suffered a cardiac arrest during a game back in January. Bills coach Sean McDermott called the return a truly remarkable display of courage, strength, and faith. Hamlin called the experience super fun.
Yeah, super fun. Oh, well, good. Well, we're so happy for him that it was fun. Just amazing to see the recovery there. Well, what a story that captured all of our attentions. We're so happy for him. Thanks, Valerie. Well, we end this hour with one couple's goal to change the look of classical music in America. NBC News correspondent Zincle Asamoah sat down with the founders of the Sphinx organization to talk about how they are working to bring more Black and Latino musicians to the forefront of classical music productions.
It started over 25 years ago.
For me, I was often the only child of color growing up playing the violin.
As a Black classical musician, Aaron Dworkin wanted to change the genre's landscape.
Classical music is both for us and by us.
Together with his wife, Afa Dworkin, they created Sphinx Music, an organization focused on creating a pipeline of Black and Latinx talent.
And the narrative of classical music would have you believe that it's pretty monochromatic and it belongs to the Western European world.
Today, just over 79% of classical musicians in the United States are white. Only 4.8% identify as Latinx and 2.4% identify as Black. Though the number of musicians identifying as a person of color has increased from 15% to nearly 21% in just the last 7 years.
And in order for classical music to have a sense of relevance for communities, it needs to be representative by all of the voices within the community.
I actually was proud of what I was able to bring with my heritage to classical music.
Joseph Conyers was in the very first Sphinx cohort back in 1998. Now he's the principal bassist for one of the country's leading classical groups, the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he teaches at Juilliard.
I'm seeing the next generation coming up behind me. Look how far things have come since when I was growing up.
In June, Cesar Chavez Academy students, a majority Latino school in Detroit, had their year-end recital.
I like violin because it had like these peaceful notes. When you play it, it sounds so peaceful.
10-year-old Donnie Salas started playing the violin 2 years ago through his school's partnership with Sphinx. His mom says it's made a difference.
Programs like this actually help these children that want to play.
After 25 years, Sphinx has nearly 1,100 alumni and over $10 million invested in Black and brown musicians.
Sphinx's goal is transforming lives through the power of diversity in the arts.
The classical music shift coming one note at a time. Zincle Asamoah, Detroit, Michigan.
One note at a time. I like that. What a beautiful story.
So much talent there.
Oh, my goodness, so much talent. It makes me want to go, too.
Did you play a classical instrument?
I played piano and guitar, so nothing like that. Yeah. Well. Nothing like in an orchestra, yeah. But yes, I did, actually. Okay. I'm trying to get back into guitar a little bit here and there. It's kind of nice, like as an adult, you never really focus on a hobby that much, you know, when you've got your job.
You can come serenade us here in the morning show.
It's going to be a while before that, but yes.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Stay with us. Good Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
And I'm Valerie Castro in for Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, tragedy in paradise. This morning, the death toll from those devastating Maui wildfires rises to at least 96, making it the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history. We've got team coverage from the disaster zone this morning as rescue crews comb the damage and survivors there look to pick up the pieces. Also this morning, fair play, a weekend at the Iowa State Fair for many of the 2024 GOP candidates, including former President Trump, who faces the possibility of a historic fourth indictment this week, this time in Georgia. We've got the state of play from Washington. Plus, we're following the back-to-school scramble across the country this morning as school districts nationwide work to fill those critical staffing shortages made even worse by the pandemic, the extreme measures some are taking to fill the gaps. Plus, the latest crisis now playing out before your child even gets to the classroom. Well, this morning, the death toll from the Maui wildfires continues to climb. At least 96 are dead after the fast-moving fires tore through the popular vacation destination, making it the deadliest wildfire in modern U.S. history.
Hawaii's governor says the damage is estimated at close to $6 billion. Well, donations are pouring in to help evacuees who lost everything, and emergency efforts to get essentials to the displaced are underway. FEMA is on the ground this morning helping local officials as they begin the response and recovery process.
Well, the efforts are going to start to move a little faster than they have in the past couple of days, and hopefully we bring some closure to those on Maui. Right now we're in the response phase, and we're soon heading to recovery, and that's going to be the longest phase yet.
This morning, though, anger is growing among some people who say they weren't given enough warning about the fires. An investigation into Hawaii's emergency warning sirens has been launched. NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas is in Maui with the latest.
All over Maui, wildfires are taking homes and lives. This is the Kula neighborhood. The home here completely gone. You can see the power of these wildfires and what it did to these two cars here. So many in Maui in a state of shock. The Ohana family spirit is strong, but every day it is getting harder as the death toll grows.
Jesus, please help us.
This morning, as new videos show the inferno that engulfed Lahaina and how residents spent hours in the ocean to survive, anger is growing. How did the nation's deadliest wildfire happen with no warning?
Did you get any type of alert?
No.
73-year-old Elizabeth Kahani, a grandmother, says she was so scared when she escaped, she didn't realize her face and arm were burned. Firefighters rescued her, treating her wounds, but her brother, Rodolfo Rokutan, is still missing. She's pleading for any word from him.
I'm so worried about everybody. Hopefully, you're still alive.
The search for the missing and dead is just getting started. Canine cadaver dogs arriving over the weekend and police announcing just 3% of Lahaina has been searched.
Are you saying we're just at the beginning of this disaster?
So for the first few days, we had done searches in the streets and the cars that were in the area, but we couldn't enter any structures. I know everybody, what's that final number? It's going to take us a while to get there.
More than 2,700 structures have been destroyed, most of them homes. Residents desperate to get back.
They're not moving fast enough.
Yeah, they're not.
It's been too long. It's been 6 days.
The King family lost their home. Their kids rescued by their friend and neighbor, Rafa Ochoa. They are all staying together with friends. 3 families under one roof. And he's angry at local leaders.
Where were you guys? No? Where were you guys to try and get us out, evacuate us? No? We're mad. We're mad. No, we didn't just lose our homes. We lost our town.
The cause of the blaze is still under investigation. Videos shot from the water show both how bad the fire was, but also how strong the wind was blowing.
We're in the ocean.
19-year-old Noah Tompkinson and his 13-year-old brother Milo spent hours in the water, along with their mother, escaping the flames.
It's all right.
At one point, their mother started to get cold.
We kind of all huddled around her and just wanted to keep her warm. Has your mom talked to you guys and thanked you for being by her side? We didn't save her, she also saved us. If any of us were alone, I don't know if we would have made it.
Now, a class action lawsuit has been filed alleging that the destruction could have been avoided if the utility company here had de-energized power lines before those high winds started on Tuesday. For their part, Hawaiian Electric says they do not comment on pending litigation, but they did say they followed all protocols when it comes to high wind weather. They also say, quote, that at this early stage, no cause for the fire has been determined. Reporting from Maui, Tom Yamas. Now back to you.
Oh, just heartbreaking. Our thanks to Tom.
We're joined now by Atina Hofoka, who escaped the wildfires. Good morning, Atina. Thank you for joining us. We know this has got to be an incredibly difficult time. How are you and your family doing, and what have the last few days been like for you?
My family, we're doing fine. The hotel where my husband works, the hotels are housing the employees. We went through FEMA. We also went through the Red Cross. Other than that, just very traumatic right now. It's nothing that we cannot help it. We live in a place that the ocean brought us safety this time. So.
Oh. Yeah, we just saw those images in our colleague Tom's piece of people waiting it out in the ocean for hours. I understand you have a pretty remarkable story yourself of how you escaped the fire as it approached your home. Tell us what happened. How did you get out?
Well, I saw the cars and I saw everything coming. I was watching the fire from my second floor, looking out onto Lahaina Luna Mountains. My husband left for work at 3:05, and by 3:30, the fire was so fast because of the wind. I don't think there was anything anybody can do. Once that fire came, the embers were blowing everywhere. It was dropping on all the structures, and everything was getting on fire just so fast. There was really nothing anybody could do. The response would have been too late. So I remember the embers falling on our building, and I was taking forever to go because my friend Freeman Tamlang, 86, he didn't want to go. He didn't want to leave his place, but I told him we had to go. And this one young kid came and helped me to escape, and we were escaping, and he said, let's take the car. And I said, we gotta go on foot. We went to Front Street, and right in front of Waikiki Brewery, I told him that we had to go over the seawall. And once we went over the seawall, he wanted to stay up to watch the fire. And I said, no, you gotta come down. So he came down, but the embers were starting to fly as soon as Baba Gums was on fire. And I went into the water so the water can kill the embers as they fell on me. And my friend Annalise, who works for Pacific Whale Foundation, she was with me, and she's also my neighbor. And I remember I asked my friend, I said, Freeman, how you doing? He said, I'm good. And I said, you need to come back down. He said, no, I want to watch the fire burn. Eventually, I was in the water for a very long time, at least 5 hours. We were in the water. My friend Annalise and I, we were just over there. People were like crying. I told them, come over the seawall. They'll be safer close to the water. I was wetting shirts for people, telling them to spit out if they cough. Mm-hmm. There was so much smoke everywhere, even though it was only like 4-something, but it seemed like it was already evening time. And it was just very traumatic, especially when the cars started to explode, because there was nowhere people could go. The burning buildings and rows of cars, and they were exploding one after another because they were right next to each other.
We're so thankful that you were able to get to safety. Tell us the biggest needs right now in your community. How can people help? What do you need the most? Well,
let me tell you, what people don't understand is 20 2,000 plus structures are destroyed. But these structures is not just one family. Because of the expensive living in Hawaii, most of these structures had multiple families. And, you know, no one ever realizes, even in my little apartment, you know, we had my husband and I and our son, and I know that he had left. And then I know that I think people need to realize how expensive housing is, that we cannot afford. So just, you know, I guess when we rebuild, we need help in rebuilding our community, but we also need help with our government helping our people to find a way to live in the island that we grew up in, because the expensive rents, the expensive housing, people cannot afford. And I just need people to understand that this 2,000 plus housing, that's multiple families that were living there.
Yeah, we know
and
a lot of people
are going to need help. Full of fires too.
We know that rebuilding process is going to take some time and a lot of efforts. Atina, thank you so much for sharing your story with us this morning. We send you our best wishes.
Experience. We are thinking about you and your family. Thank you very much, and we'll check in with you.
Mahalo. Thank you. Aloha.
Let's get a closer look at the week ahead with the check on your morning news now weather forecast.
Yeah, hi, Angie. I know you have some things to tell us about that particular area as well. Good morning.
Yeah, we do have a couple of things happening as far as the Eastern Pacific is concerned with the tropics. We've got Tropical Storm Greg that's just to the south and east of the island chain there. And up to the north, there's a high pressure system. So we are going to see some elevated trade winds here over the next couple of days, at least into Friday. Not quite as intense as they were, of course, when the fires initially were occurring with Hurricane Dora to the south of the island. This isn't going to be quite as strong. The high's a little farther away, but still they will notice some elevated winds in that area over the next few days. We also have Hurricane Fernanda that's going to eventually continue its westward movement, potentially becoming a Category 3 hurricane or higher here over the next couple of days. But either way, that's going to move to the south of the islands, and we could see some indirect impacts, maybe some additional rain and some stronger winds here as we get into the weekend and early next week. But that's still quite far away, so we'll keep an eye on that. We also have a tropical disturbance that has a 40% chance of developing into a tropical depression here in the next couple of days. Meanwhile, we've got 13 million people under flood alerts after heavy rain has worked through across the past couple of hours across the parts of the Midwest, and parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast are going to get in on this action here as we get through the day today. Meanwhile, we've got 31 million people under severe threats, so the potential for some strong storms that include some really strong wind gusts as well as some damaging hail are going to be there here through the day today. You can see it does include Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Charleston, Knoxville. So just a heads up with that. It'll also be accompanied by some heavy rain, so flash flooding will be a concern too, with anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain possible in a lot of spots, localized amounts up to 3 inches. And of course, we've got the heat alerts that are still up for parts of the Pacific Northwest and the Southeast, guys. Triple-digit temperatures across the Pacific Northwest. Really warm, above normal conditions for folks there.
And that's where it can get dangerous. So thank you for that information. Thanks, Angie. See you in a bit. Well, this morning, GOP candidates are recovering from a busy weekend campaigning at the Iowa State Fair. And despite more potentially looming legal troubles, frontrunner and former President Donald Trump was there, of course, as well. This could potentially be quite a busy week for Trump, as he may face yet another historic indictment. NBC News correspondent Garrett Haig joins us now from Fulton County, Georgia, where he is on the watch and has the very latest. Hey, Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, it's only been less than 2 weeks since Donald Trump was in a Washington, D.C. courtroom facing federal criminal charges related to his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Now he could be on the verge of facing new charges related to those same efforts, this time here in Georgia, where a grand jury could vote to indict him as early as this week.
This morning, the Republican presidential primary racing towards January's Iowa caucuses.
We are going to win big, and we're going to make America great again.
Taking a detour through Georgia, where Donald Trump may face an historic fourth indictment this week. The former president under investigation by the Fulton County District Attorney for his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia, a state President Biden carried by fewer than 12,000 votes. This January 2021 phone call to the Secretary of State, a key piece of evidence.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
The former president defending that call as perfect on social media and lashing out at the Democratic DA, Fani Willis. Trump's social media also now a potential issue in the case he faces in Washington, D.C. over election interference. There, Judge Tanya Chutkan had on Friday warned the former president's team about making inflammatory statements. Overnight Sunday, Trump attacking Chutkan and sharing posts, including a photo of the judge. Chutkan had warned that violations could increase the likelihood of a quick trial. Mr. Trump leading the GOP field by a wide margin, lumping all of his legal woes together as politically motivated.
It's all called election interference.
While in Iowa this weekend, his rivals sought to make gains the old-fashioned way, flipping pork chops and shaking hands at the Iowa State Fair. With Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Mr. Trump crisscrossing the fairgrounds on the same day. DeSantis dogged by pro-Trump protesters. As Republicans try to energize their base, they're also zeroing in on a political headache for President Biden, following the Attorney General's announcement Friday that Trump-appointed Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss would become a special counsel to investigate the president's son Hunter after a plea deal on tax-related charges collapsed last month.
These are facts the American people have a right to get to the bottom of.
There's one key difference between this case and all the others facing former President Trump, and that's this. Georgia allows cameras in the courtroom, which means if Donald Trump is indicted here and stands before a judge to plead not guilty, it would be the first time the country could see the former president as a criminal defendant in court. Savannah?
All right, Garrett Haig, thank you so much.
Now let's bring in MSNBC legal analyst and former prosecutor Kristen Gibbons-Fedden for more on the possible Georgia indictment. Kristen, good morning. Walk us through how the district attorney is approaching these testimonies in court this week. How does Fani Willis navigate these hearings? And what is the grand jury listening for as witnesses take the stand?
I think she's going to have to really present all of this evidence meticulously. You know, she's poised to level very serious charges against Donald Trump and his allies. So her evidence and the grand jury is going to have to listen for evidence of those phone calls, those emails, the social media posts, and the pleas to Georgia officials, really painting that picture. This is what DA Willis has to do, is paint a picture of the orchestrated attempt to really challenge Georgia's election results. You know, in addition, the recorded call to find enough votes for a win, as you just played, along with the letters and the memos sent to Governor Kemp and state lawmakers advocating for that special session to nullify Biden's triumph. I think her strategy really is going to benefit from her observation of the prior overlapping indictments and the findings of the January 6 hearings. But given the gravity of the case, the grand jury will undoubtedly be deeply immersed in dissecting a very detail-oriented case.
A lot of complicated details there for them to listen to. Under Georgia law, prosecutors are not obligated to let people know if they are a target of an investigation. Do you expect to see more people included in any potential charges connected to the election interference case? Is there any indication of the scope of the probe here?
Yeah, you know, I think normally that question is a tough one to answer. But in this particular case, I think absolutely more people are going to face additional charges. You know, the spotlight of Georgia's investigation really seemed firmly fixed on the RICO statute. And that's a law that's designed to really unravel webs of racketeering, which is designed to target organized groups or multiple people involved in patterns of illicit activities. And the RICO statute really focuses on those interrelated actions with that shared goal. So with Trump's post-2020 election calls, his allies' actions, and DA Willis's, evidence for that wider scheme, it really does seem to suggest that she will have enough evidence to support additional charges for additional individuals like Rudy Giuliani or even David Schaefer, the former chair of the Georgia Republican Party, who really oversaw the meeting of the fake electors and potentially other fake electors as well.
Yeah, there could be more to come. Kristen, is this case different from the other legal battles Trump is facing right now? Are prosecutors looking at the same charges brought on by special counsel Jack Smith in the federal election interference case?
Yeah, I really do think that this case and this investigation, I should say, is really different both in scope and in focus. You know, Georgia's inquiry really hones in on the state laws, specifically targeting potential violations like the solicitation of election fraud, the racketeering, really illuminated by the actions such as Trump's phone call to the Georgia Secretary of State. But the federal investigation led by Jack Smith really casts kind of a wider net, really embracing those conspiracy charges and the federal offenses. So although, you know, what has been publicly reported is that DA Willis is not coordinated with Jack Smith, they are going to utilize the same type of evidence. But again, the focus seems more localized for the Georgia investigation.
Okay, thanks for breaking it all down for us, Kristen Gibbons-Fedden. Thanks so much.
Well, officials are now searching for answers following a home explosion in Pennsylvania that left 5 people dead, including a 12-year-old. Authorities say the cause of the huge blast is under investigation. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa joins us now from Plum, Pennsylvania with the latest. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Well, the blast so strong, neighbors say it sounded like a bomb went off. And as you can see behind me, it looks that way, too. This morning, members of the community now picking up the pieces and grieving the loss of 5 lives as still so many unanswered questions remain around what led to this deadly explosion that changed this community forever. This is the terrifying moment a deadly house explosion devastated a western Pennsylvania community. First, a massive fireball, then a shower of debris reaching across the neighborhood, captured from multiple home cameras. The explosion and fire outside of Pittsburgh completely flattened 3 homes and shattered windows, peeled off siding, and scorched at least a dozen others, say authorities. 5 people were killed, including Casey Klontz and his 12-year-old son, Keegan, identified by family and remembered as loving and devoted.
We have a whole building completely gone. We have copious amounts of debris.
Greg Renko stepped outside Saturday morning to what he says felt like a war zone.
Houses are just dilapidated. They're falling apart. If you imagine almost a bomb going off in front of your house.
He helped pull his neighbor, who he says now is in critical condition, from the rubble. You may have saved his life.
I hope so. I in this community have prayed hard.
The exact cause of the explosion still under investigation, with gas in the area turned off as a precaution.
This investigation may last for months, if not years.
The explosion with such a force, it literally lifted you off your feet?
Threw us off the couch to the floor.
Rafael Kolinkowski lives several doors down, even spending time with some of the victims the night before the furious blast.
One day you see him, next day he's gone.
Now a community trying to support each other amid the utter devastation.
Sometimes things like this bring communities closer together, and I think that's what we have here in Plum right now.
And it's not clear when gas will be restored in this community, but Peoples Gas Company says that after an initial review of its system, it was operating, quote, as designed. Investigators say determining the cause of this deadly explosion could take months, if not years. For reference, last year there was a different home explosion in Plum Borough and injured a family of 5. A cause in that incident still has yet to be determined. So Savannah and Valerie, still a long road ahead.
Absolutely. All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Coming up on Morning News Now, a closer look at how wildfires across North America are affecting local businesses and the financial impact of this summer of smoke.
But first, a deadly mushroom mystery that's taken the internet by storm. We've got more on that after the break.
Welcome back. This morning, we're looking at the deadly mystery surrounding what should have been an innocent family lunch down under.
Well, now the meal possibly containing poisonous mushrooms and the woman who cooked it are grabbing attention worldwide and leaving many to wonder if this was an accident or a meal cooked with ill intentions. NBC News correspondent Molly Hunter reports from Australia with more.
Hey guys, good morning. This is a crazy story, really gripping the press here, but also around the world. The woman in question, Erin Patterson, is an Australian woman from the southeast of the country. She made lunch for her former in-laws. She said she made beef Wellington with mushrooms. She says she has no idea how this happened. Take a look.
One of Australia's most baffling police probes.
This morning, new questions swirling about the deadly mushroom mystery. The bizarre tragedy now grabbing global headlines. Was it accidental, a fatal foray into foraging that killed 3 members of the same family? Or was it murder, death by fungus? Back on July 29th, police say Erin Patterson hosted her former in-laws for lunch. Then, within a week, authorities say 3 were dead, 1 still fighting for his life in the hospital, and the national rumor mill in full swing.
I didn't do anything. I loved them. And I'm devastated that they're gone.
The Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports that a statement from Erin's lawyers to police says she served beef Wellington with mushrooms that day.
I just can't fathom what has happened. I'm so sorry that they have lost their lives.
How are you?
I just can't believe it.
In the same statement, she also says she threw out the food dehydrator after speculation started to grow. Police say the cause of death is consistent with eating death cap mushrooms, a highly toxic fungus found near oak trees. Her former in-laws, Gail and Don Patterson, and Gail's sister Heather have died. Heather's husband, Ian Wilkinson, is in critical condition. According to police, Erin and her 2 children didn't fall ill, and detectives confirming that Erin's a suspect.
She cooked those meals for us, for those people that were present. Now, again, she hasn't presented with any symptoms, but we have to keep an open mind in relation to this, that it could be very innocent, but again, we just don't know at this point.
And this morning, Victoria Police telling NBC News the deaths are still being treated as unexplained, and so the mystery continues.
Now, no charges have been filed, but investigators are really reminding everyone that there is an active investigation ongoing. They also want everyone to really remember that community members are grieving these deaths. And at the moment, Erin Patterson is a free woman. One of the big things they will be looking into and seeking an answer to is why didn't she get sick? Guys?
Oh, all right, Molly Hunter, thank you so much.
International headlines now, starting with new developments on the war in Ukraine.
Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv with that and more. Hey, Raf.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Valerie. Yeah, the Russian Navy fired warning shots at a civilian cargo ship using automatic weapons. Russian commandos then boarded the ship in the Black Sea from a helicopter before allowing it to continue on its way to Ukraine. Russia says it will now treat all ships heading to Ukraine as potential weapons carriers. Ukraine says Russia's actions amount to piracy. In Iran, a gunman opened fire at a prominent Shia shrine in the southern city of Shiraz. At least 1 person was killed, another 8 injured. 1 man has been arrested. The same shrine was attacked back in October 2022. That assault left 13 people dead and wounded dozens of others. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack. And finally, one Beatle got by with a little help from his mom. George Harrison's mother wrote a strongly worded letter after watching the band perform in 1963, saying she was disgusted at the way the so-called fans just screamed so no one could hear the band play. She added, "I was really ashamed I was female." That letter is now up for auction along with 24 others. And guys, if Mama Harrison didn't enjoy screaming, not clear she would like these Taylor Swift concerts. Doesn't sound like it.
Wow.
What a letter.
Had some strong words there.
Raf Sanchez, thank you so much.
Thank you. Coming up, it's a back-to-school scramble in many school districts across the country as a critical teacher shortage is putting the strain on local officials and students alike. We'll explain in a moment.
Plus, as if that teacher shortage wasn't enough, some districts are even scrambling to hire bus drivers for the upcoming semester. We're covering what families should know this morning after the break.
We are back with a closer look at the growing crisis unfolding inside our nation's classrooms. School districts are once again scrambling to find enough teachers for the school year, an issue that worsened during the COVID pandemic. Well, now administrators are turning to the most extreme options to fill those positions, often at the expense of students. NBC News senior policy reporter Shannon Pettypiece joins us now for more on her reporting here. Hey, Shannon, good morning. So walk us through the big picture here. How has the lack of teachers in school gone from, an issue and then a crisis really now to this catastrophe? And how much of a problem is it across the country?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned that there was really a wave in teacher resignations over the past couple of years during the pandemic. Early retirements went up, resignations increased. Education officials attributed a lot of that to just teacher burnout, as well as a strong labor market where people could switch careers and in a lot of cases make more money than they were teaching. But what some sort of saw as a post-pandemic labor market hiccup has just persisted for yet another school year, where school officials that I talked to in a range of states, North Carolina, Arizona, Illinois, Pennsylvania, all really echo the same thing in that they are just not getting enough applications and enough interest to fill the empty jobs that they have, leaving them once again scrambling to figure out how to have an adult in front of classrooms when students show up in just a few weeks in a lot of districts.
What are some of these hurdles that might be causing teachers to leave their positions? You know, you just mentioned, we were referencing this wave of resignations that we've seen. What is that about, and what is it that schools can do to try to stop that? You know, obviously you're trying to fill these current holes, but try to stop what it is that's making teachers want to leave the profession.
Yeah, well, principals, administrators, teachers who I talked to, they said there's a range of things. You know, stressful hours, criticism from parents, outside political groups attacking teachers and trying to get more involved in the curriculum and lobbying accusations against teachers, as well as pay. In this labor market, a lot of teachers can make more money elsewhere, and there kind of becomes a bidding war among teachers in some situations. And at the same time, fewer people are going into education. Again, partly because of that pay equation, particularly with students who are going to graduate with a lot of debt. The salary for a teacher just isn't appealing to them. And then they say this problem essentially snowballs on itself, where now there's fewer teachers. They're having to combine classrooms, having teachers fill in during their planning breaks, leading to more burnout. And they just see the problem getting worse, not getting any better, despite efforts and talk by policymakers about this problem over the past couple of years.
And Shannon, quickly before I let you go, of course, I have to talk about what's this doing to the students. What are we seeing this happen to students in classrooms?
Well, certainly there's this documented learning loss in the test scores in areas like reading and math we've seen since the pandemic. Without certified full-time teachers in their classroom, school officials, education experts say that learning loss is, if not persisting, certainly not getting better, because students can't get the individualized one-on-one attention they need from a fully certified, trained professional.
All right, Shannon Pettypiece, important reporting. Thank you so much.
Teacher shortages are not the only staffing issue plaguing schools as the new school year begins. Parents and educators are also having to deal with a shortage of bus drivers. And in some cases, the lack of drivers is causing some school districts to cancel classes. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins us now with more. Sam, good morning.
Yeah, Valerie, good morning. It's been a crisis for years. It now appears to be hitting a crescendo. And I'll give you an example. Wake County, North Carolina administrators are telling parents to just figure it out how you're going to get your kid to school. In Chicago, it's free transit cards for some families. And as you mentioned, in Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County, 4 of the first 5 days of school, Valerie, have been canceled because of a bus fiasco, forcing many families to get creative.
This morning in Kentucky's largest school system, classes are canceled as Jefferson County scrambles to fix what administrators call a transportation disaster.
Still waiting on this bus at 9:10.
This after some students were stuck on school buses until 10 at night while heading home after the first day of school last week.
I'm the parent of a JCPS 3rd grader and 4th grader. I have been in the last few days, and I bet in the next several, really frustrated and really lonely.
The district has more than 90,000 students, and its superintendent now apologizing to them for the new school bus routing system that backfired.
We should have anticipated those problems better than what we did, and we did not do that.
The frustration over school buses spreads far and wide.
They're 15 minutes early or 15 minutes late. Or sometimes they usually, if they're late to their next route, they bypass the stop.
With a nationwide driver shortage impacting 80% of districts, according to Hop Skip Drive. Lack of competitive pay, recruiting problems, and strict regulations, all making it hard to fill positions.
Our kids are going to be the ones to suffer because they can't get to school. Because we can't get them there. No bus.
Across the nation, a variety of temporary solutions are underway. In Chicago, where the district short half their bus drivers, or around 600 of them, the city is now offering free transit cards to qualifying families.
Honestly, it breaks my heart because we have students, we have kids that really, they need to get to school.
In Hillsborough County, Florida, with a roughly 200 driver deficit, the school is suggesting parents use the Here Comes the Bus app to help track their child's path. And in Framingham, Massachusetts, they've even tried recruiting stay-at-home parents and retirees to help fill their shortage. All efforts to keep the wheels rolling and get the kids to class on time.
Wow, and Sam, you mentioned the recruitment and pay issues. Are there any other tactics schools are trying to address this problem?
Sure. Certainly, Valerie, part of the issue here is financial. If you can make $20 an hour at a restaurant or $15 an hour as a bus driver, you're going to probably choose the restaurant. Many school districts right now have raised their hourly pay $2 or $3, if not more. There are bonuses as well, from $1,200 to $2,000 just to sign up for the job. And also, they're relaxing some of their standards when it comes to who qualifies to be a bus driver. You don't necessarily have to have an immaculate driving record now to meet that criteria. Valerie?
Rough start to the school year. Sam, thank you so much.
Well, coming up, a closer look at how wildfires across North America are affecting local businesses.
The financial impact of this summer of smoke after this. We're back. Wildfire smoke has covered major cities across the U.S. this summer, and one of the results has been unhealthy air quality. Now we're learning that doesn't just harm our health, it's also affecting the health of the economy. CNBC senior climate correspondent Diana Olick looks at the impact.
From Las Vegas to New York City to Midwest metros in between, smoke from wildfires in Canada and the U.S. West is disrupting lives and impacting livelihoods. We won't know the full financial impact of this summer's smoke until it clears, but we do know that wildfire smoke reduced earnings in the U.S. by an average of $125 billion a year between 2007 and 2019, or nearly 2% of annual labor income, according to a study by researchers at the universities of Illinois and Michigan. Co-author Mark Borgschulte says those numbers are rising with the effects of climate change.
The events that we've seen in the last few months are 2 to 10 times as large as the events that we have in our study.
Even 1 or 2 days with smoke, he says, can also trigger lasting employment losses, and hourly workers without paid leave are particularly at risk.
Substantial share of workers, if they don't show up for a job, they're gonna lose that job. Declines in their firm's productivity or their ability to come to work can then be passed on to those workers in the form of lower earnings that aren't possible to make up.
That risk is not lost on major public companies employing thousands of workers globally. Amazon already had air quality protocols in place on the West Coast, like air scrubbers in warehouses, but this summer in Chicago, they were sending N95 masks to drivers, cutting routes short, and issuing alerts to employees to return home if they felt unwell.
We are going to have to change the way we think. These events are not going to decrease. They are likely going to increase. What we are learning is that data is power. We are finding as the more data we have, the better we can react and the quicker we can respond.
Minnesota-based Ecolab, which ironically helps large companies reduce their environmental impacts, saw 4 times the number of smoke warnings this summer than usual. Jeff Burt, Senior VP of Health, Safety and Environment, said they may now use strategies they learned when COVID hit.
We had to form teams, we had to follow data, science, and develop precautions, processes, methods. We will do the exact same if the wildfire smokes continue throughout the U.S. and in other areas as well.
Employee safety is obviously of utmost importance, but companies will now have to focus on their financial safety from smoke as well. The more smoke, the more financial losses will ensue, and like smoke, they could inevitably drift into corporate earnings and investor profit. Valerie.
Okay, Diana, thank you so much. Financial headlines now. United States Steel has rejected a buyout proposal from one of its major rivals.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Valerie. Yeah, so U.S. Steel said yesterday it is exploring options after rejecting a $7.3 billion deal from Ohio-based rival Cleveland-Cliffs. Now, Cleveland-Cliffs made its unsolicited cash and stock offer public after U.S. Steel called it unreasonable and announced the formal review process. U.S. Steel just reported its 5th consecutive quarter of profit declines and its 4th straight quarter of falling revenue. If the deal went through, it would leave the U.S. with only 3 major steel makers. Hard at work or just trying to look like you are? Slack and research firm Qualtrics surveyed 18,000 workers and found that more than a third of people in some Asian countries admitted to focusing more on appearing busy than doing real work. India topped the list with 43% of those surveyed confessing to so-called performative work. About 38% of workers in Japan and 36% in Singapore reported the same. The surveyors think countries with higher numbers are more likely to have leaders who judge productivity on visible activity like meetings and emails rather than on achieving real outcomes. And the Apple Watch is reportedly set to get a major redesign, but you'll have to wait a while before you see it on the market. The new device is set to include a new magnetic watch band, a blood pressure sensor, and a micro LED screen. However, according to a Bloomberg report, those updates won't come until late 2024 or even until 2025. The revamp is supposed to mark the device's 10-year anniversary. I'm a big fan of the Apple Watch, so I'm excited for the updates.
I went through a phase where I got one and you know, but now it's like it's so old that it doesn't have all the new stuff on it. And
you gotta get a new one. You gotta get a new one.
I know. People do love them.
I do.
Silvana, thank you so much.
You got it.
Turning back now to Hawaii, where communities are looking to tradition to help heal their pain following the devastating wildfires that destroy the town of Lahaina. Many are using hula to spread the message of love and family as survivors of the disaster begin assessing the damage left behind. NBC News senior national correspondent and News Now anchor Tom Yamas has more.
Good day from Maui, an island steeped in so much history, and it's now turning to those traditions that have been here for generations to help get through its biggest challenge yet. It's a tradition going back centuries. Hula, a symbol of the Hawaiian Islands. This weekend's festival on Maui, now a memorial to loved ones lost in the fires.
We lament the loss of all of Lahaina through this.
These dances, with a history representing the sea and sky, are now helping this community heal. Across the island, prayers and faith. At King's Cathedral, Maui, parishioners united in song. The church sheltering residents who lost their homes in the flames.
We're feeding people, clothing people. It's been wonderful to see the love expressed, the aloha, we call it.
As more aid arrives on the island, these volunteers together chanting and finding strength in their own language. And as the sun rose on St. Anthony's Church, this community is embracing one another as the long road to recovery begins.
We will take care of each other no matter what.
It's that coming together and helping one another that will provide that healing and comfort.
St. Anthony's Church plans to keep raising money for wildfire victims, and they even offered to make donations to the Maui Disaster Relief Fund on other people's behalf. It's just one example of this community lifting each other up in a time of crisis. Back to you.
All right. It's Monday morning. Here's some good news. We might be able to stop talking about that cage fight between tech billionaires Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Last night, Meta's boss Zuckerberg wrote on his platform Threads that he didn't think Musk was serious about the challenge. Zuckerberg said he had offered Tesla's CEO a date, but Musk wouldn't confirm. The two billionaires have been teasing the possibility of a UFC-style cage fight since June. Zuckerberg said if he ever gets serious about a real date and official event, he knows how to reach me. Otherwise, time to move on. Musk has not yet publicly responded to Zuckerberg's latest comments.
Time to move on.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Thanks, Savannah.
Yeah.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Stay with us.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.